Every movie has random trivia. And here at Trivial Theater, I explore some of these movies, and the random circumstances that make them the weird creations that we love. Oh boy, we got a doozy here, folks. Prepare yourself for a movie that offers more what the fuck moments than anything you've probably seen recently. This is the utterly bizarre Tingler. This 1959 movie finds horror icon Vincent Price playing a pathologist. When he's not slicing and dicing recently deceased criminals, he runs experiments to gauge the effects of fear on the human body. Price is observed by Creepy McCreeperson, a relative to the current stiff on the slab. During the autopsy, Price discovers something has cracked the prisoner's spine. Further testing shows a previously unknown parasite that forms along the spinal cord during highly fearful moments. He gives this phenomenal discovery the truly epic name of
the Tingler,
based on how it manifests when you feel a tingle down your spine. It's also discovered that screaming is the only way to stop a tingler from killing its victims. Price manages to acquire a tingler from his creepy friend's deaf-mute wife, who can't scream during a moment of extremely high stress, and unfortunately passes away. Of course, there are consequences, and the tingler ends up loose in a theater, wreaking havoc and causing patrons to scream bloody murder. There is a great deal more to this story. Let's just say it involves an acid trip, a bathroom mirror death certificate, and this face. I don't know what this face is supposed to convey. Is he gassy? Is he hungry? Is he scared? I don't know. The dialogue in this movie is incredibly conversational. You could be talking about attempted murder.
You can put away that silly pistol.
This silly pistol can make a hole in you the size of a medium grapefruit.
Or just regular murder.
Guess they'll probably electrocute me, won't they, Doc?
I'm neither judge nor jury.
And the lines are delivered like you're talking about the weather. Also, don't get me started on the amount of screams in this movie. None of them can touch Psycho, but generally, this movie has more reason to be called Scream than this one does. The Tingler was produced and directed by William Castle, a schlocky B-movie maestro of the 50s and 60s. Castle was a master of cheesy marketing gimmicks, including life insurance policies, special 3D ghost glasses, or in the case of the Tingler, Percepto. God, that sounds like a third-rate supervillain. It involved buzzers being attached to certain theater seats, and during the film's climax, patrons would experience a series of harmless shocks, explained away by the movie as contact with the Tingler. Castle also employed fake nurses to stand ready in the lobby, and gave this warning at the beginning of the movie.
Don't be embarrassed about opening your mouth and letting rip with all you've got, because the person in the seat right next to you will probably be screaming too.
As cheesy as the overall movie appears, there are some genuinely interesting ideas. To take the concept of a shiver down your spine and turn it into a creature that forms from fear is a fun B-movie concept. The fact that you can only dispel it by screaming is clever too. But to take it a step further and ask what would happen to someone who couldn't scream, for me that belongs in the same idea ballpark as The Killer from It Follows. Both take a concept people can easily understand, but employ it in a way that is very outside the box. Because even in the 50s, a lot of movies based their monsters off the same subjects, over and over. On that subject, the Tingler prop ranks right up there with some of the more interesting practical effects to come out of the time. It was based on a scale model of a velvet worm, a real creature described as half earthworm, half orthopod. And its movement in this movie can really only be described as a forward humping motion. When it attacks, Price is one of the few people that can make it look remotely convincing as a monstrous killer, and even for him, it's a bit of a stretch. This movie was a hell of a trip, and coincidentally it was the first major motion picture to feature LSD, which was legal at the time. Price even reads a book called Fright Effects Induced by Injection of Lysergic Acid LSD-25 before taking it. His LSD trip offers a display of stylized and exaggerated performance, which really wasn't a stretch for Vincent Price's acting ability.
The walls. The walls. The walls.
There are some really intriguing scenes in this movie, especially one featuring a deaf-mute woman being scared to death by an unseen force. The highlight comes in a sequence when an arm emerges from a black and white tub full of bright red blood. When it was shot, everything including the actress was painted monochromatic to give the illusion of black and white film, when it was actually shot in color. There's a scene near the end that never fails to make me smile. After scaring several theater patrons, the Tingler's shadow can be seen moving across the large theater screen. It strikes me as a great metaphor for this movie. It's a big, bombastic thing that's random and awkward and just says, "Look at me!" The Tingler plays best when viewed as the campy, cult classic that it is. The first act does start a tad slow, but then everything ramps up in the series of bizarre circumstances that drives the creation of the Tingler, the rancorous panic that occurs when the Tingler gets loose in the theater, and the final scene's revenge that completes the story in a satisfying way. All while leaving, about 50 loose ends. But believe me, that's a lot less than what you get with House on Haunted Hill. I don't really know that I've done the weirdness of this movie justice. As cliche as it sounds, it really does have to be seen to be appreciated. So what do you think? Any suggestions for movies? Any trivial questions? Comments, ratings, and a stronger Tingler cage would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much for watching.